Lamento my soul, lamento my soul, oh Lord. I cry for this cruel world. Mankind can find no solution. I say we're reaping the sour fruits of retribution. And I don't convince we are violent, Lord, vulgar, and it's we who say we intelligent. We superior, we civilize and we wise. Yet we making all kind of bomb, blowing up everyone, killing one another with gun. And who ain't got gun? Use knives. Lord, I said that the time has come for us to get on our knees. Lift our head to the trees, to the very sky above you. Let there be happiness in our soul. Let there be love, not hate in our world. Oh, for the day when he come down in all the glory and sin. Let there be peace, all them fighting cease. Peace, peace, peace. Everybody shouting peace. Oh Lord, love and happiness is what we need. No one will stretch that loving hand. Everybody sitting down on the bottom, watching the other man. While war and crime and violence are rampant in every land. Yes, we say he made us above the animal. Destiny to mold the galaxies in our hand. But I don't push it, stop fight. We're living and unite. No animal kill for spite. It's only we humans. One can live destroy lives. Lord, I said that the time has come for us to get on our 2 knees. Lift our head to the trees, to the very sky above you. Let there be happiness in our soul. Let there be love, not hate in our world. Oh, for the day when he come down in all the glory and sin. Let there be peace, all them fighting cease. Female liberation. Even women want their freedom. Rioting demonstration. Where will this end? If it keeps on, I can only visualize humiliation. With them guns and bombs and constant improvement and modernized weapons. Yes, he gave us eyes to see and ears to hear. But when my eyes perceive, Lord, a trembling in fear. Bombs falling from the air, shooting everywhere, rebellion far and near. And every day's more talk about revolution. Yeah. Lord, I say that the time has come for us to get on our 2 knees. Lift our head to the trees, to the very, very sky above you. Let there be happiness in our soul. Let there be love, not hate in our world. Oh, for the day when he come down in all the glory and sing. Let there be peace, all them fighting cease. Our madness has come. Every land in raw confusion, poverty and starvation, lying in the street, hand in hand with man, grasping at the throats of the poorer one, pounding and grinding him into oblivion. Hatred, injustice, greed, and vengeance, corruption and treachery, so very eminent is the order of the day. You cannot get away, no matter what you do or say, unless we kneel. Our madness has come. Every land in raw confusion, poverty and starvation, lying in the street, hand in hand with man, grasping at the throats of the poorer one, pounding and grinding him into oblivion. Hatred, injustice, greed, and vengeance, corruption and treachery, so very eminent is the order of the day. You cannot get away, no matter what you do or say, unless we kneel. Let the nation heal. Lord, I said that the time has come for us to get on our knees, lift our head to the trees, to the very, very sky above you. Let there be happiness in our soul. Let there be love and hate in our world. Oh, for the day when he come down in all the glory and sin, let there be peace. All them fighting. Corruption and treachery, so very eminent is the order of the day. You cannot get away, no matter what you do or say, unless we kneel. Let the nation heal. Lord, I said that the time has come for us to get on our knees, lift our head to the trees, to the very, very sky above you. Let there be happiness in our soul. Let there be love and hate in our world. Oh, for the day when he come down in all the glory and sin, let there be peace. All them fighting.
Oh my, here we go. I was muted. I was muted all the time. Welcome to Politics 101, wherever you're joining us from. We are expected to be joined by Dr. Vincent Adams, of course. Tonight is Friday night, and we have a lot to talk about. We came in tonight with the sound, the music of the mighty Lord Short Short out of Antigua, the man who gave us stories Lego, the man who gave us nobody gonna run me from where me come from, out of Antigua. Welcome to all of you, wherever you're joining us from. Lots in the news to talk about. We're hearing a lot of story, hearing about a government minister who allegedly was pulled in by the authorities in the United States. He said it's not true. He said, she said. We have this situation again of police officer making a deposit, and then the commissioner say he didn't make the deposit, and then it came out that he made the deposit. Scandal in the family. I mean, the PPP family. Scandal in the family. So a lot to talk about. The teachers have put a proposal on the table. They've come back. Remember, they said they're only going to negotiate from 2024. Well, the teachers have put their 2024 package on the table. Welcome to Politics 101, wherever you're joining us from. Share the link. Share the live. We're on, and we are ready to roll tonight. Welcome to all of you. We talk about our folklore, and we are from Guyana, we're from the Caribbean, and we have a lot of folklore. The folk, the lore of the folk, the language of the folk. Calypso music is part of that. We have the spoken word. We know about Olaik, for example. Olaik, made popular by words, but Macandrew of our Guyana, and then Clifford McWatt as another Olaik poem, and we talk about the floor. The Olaik suck you, old woman with the wrinkled skin. Let the Olaik walk begin. That's Wordsworth McAndrew. And we said there's another Cliff McWatt, Mark McWatt, as another Olaik poem. He's a Guyanese writer also, and he has another Olaik poem, and one of our Guyanese St. Lucian, one of our actresses in the United Kingdom, sent me a piece that I like very much, and she did a performance of Fire Ass. Yes, Hazel. I give the nice name, Olaik, Fire Ass, we call them. And we're dealing with some fire ass in this country. Some real Olaik sucking the blood of the country. And we have to call them out on that. So they're like Olaik. So we have one of our actresses. She is Shavi Miller. She's of Guyanese parents, and she lived a little while in Suriname, St. Vincent. And she sent me this piece that I really like, that I wanted to share with you all. It's a performance of Mark McWatt's Olaik, Fire Ass.
You think I like this chuffiness? Gallivanting all night without skin, burning out myself like cane fire to frighten the foolish. And for what? A few drops of baby blood? You think I would rather my blood seasoned in fat black pudding like everyone else? And don't even talk about the pain of salt and having to bend these old bones down to count 1,000 grains rice. If only babies that didn't smell so nice. And if I could only stop hearing that soft call of that pure blood running in new veins. Tempting an old dry up woman who been holding her final note for years and years. Afraid of that dying hum. Then again, if I didn't fly and come in the middle of the night to that fresh pulse, how would you, mother, name your ancient dread? And who to blame for the murder inside your head? Believe me, as long as they got women giving birth, a poor old like me can never dead.
Here I go again. Yes, a young Guyanese actress out of the United Kingdom doing Olag. We know the Wordsworth McAndrew version, but this is a poem by Mark Makwat, a Guyanese writer, and he did that poem on Olag, and Shavi gave us her rendition of Olag, and then she sent it to me, and I rather like her rendition of it, so I wanted to share it tonight.
Wait, you think I like this chuffiness? Gallivanting all night without skin, burning out myself like cane fire to frighten the foolish. And for what? A few drops of baby blood? You think I would rather my blood seasoned in fat black pudding like everyone else? And don't even talk about the pain of salt and having to bend these old bones down to count 1,000 grains rice. If only babies that didn't smell so nice. And if I could only stop hearing that soft call of that pure blood running in new veins. Tempting an old dry up woman who been holding her final note for years and years. Afraid of that dying hum. Then again, if I didn't fly and come in the middle of the night to that fresh pulse, how would you, mother, name your ancient dread? And who to blame for the murder inside your head? Believe me, as long as they got women giving birth, a poor old like me can never dead.
Sister Shavi Miller. She's from New Amsterdam originally, New Amsterdam, Shavi Miller, and she's now living in the United Kingdom, and she is making a name for herself there. And she did that rendition, interpretation, whatever name they give it in drama these days. I'm away from that scene, and so I don't know all the terms that they use now. But I used to fancy myself, as a kind of dramatist actor that the Buxtonians would remember those days a long time ago. If you have a nice piece, that you want to share, please send them to me and I'll be happy to feature them on our program. The culture is real. And whatever we do, we have to take the culture with us. The culture with us. We can't leave the culture behind because of people without a culture. You all know what Garvey says about that. Your culture is your history is your culture, and your history and your culture is you. Good evening to you, our lovely people. And as we say, we pay close attention here to opposition people, opposition people, opposition people, wherever race you come from. Opposition people, you're celebrated here. You're welcome here. This is a safe space all the time, all the time. And of course, our beautiful black people. And we single out black people only because they are being beaten down at this time. But we are talking about black people being beaten so that the beating will stop and there will come a time when we will embrace all of us as equal citizens. Good evening to all of you and welcome. And I think Dr. Adams is ready for us. Dr. Adams, good evening.
Hey, good evening, Dr. Hines and all your listeners. Sorry about the hiccup. I'm always technically challenged with these IT stuff.
Yeah, well, all of us are. And, it's one of the reasons I say that our young people today are much brighter, 10, 15, 20 times brighter now because they take a cell phone and, they sort out things on that thing in seconds. And you and
Yep.
I will take sometimes hours to figure it out.
If ever.
If ever we figure it out. Vincent, there is a lot to talk about, but I want to start with a letter you wrote. It appeared in yesterday's paper, and I think in one of the papers today. And you ask the question that letter, or asserted that Barra Jagdeo should be the last person to be talking about conflict of interest. And I want to preface your answer, well, my question and your answer with this. From the time I hear about Nigel use and conflict of interest, my position is that we ought not to be repeating it. All right? We ought not to be repeating it because the biggest conflict of interest that's going on in this country now is the government of Guyana. And top officials in the government of Guyana are engaged in the worst form of conflict of interest. Some of it in the public domain is known, and others not so known. All right? I went on to say in subsequent programs that, look, Nigel used as a potential conflict of interest. All right? That if he were to become a minister of government, a parliamentarian, the president of Guyana, or whatever, then you can't be an official of government in whatever branch of government, and you are the lawyer for a company that's doing the thing. There is a view that there is present conflict of interest because he's the leader of a major political party, and that political party is in parliament, and so therefore there is some conflict of interest there. I am not an expert on this conflict of interest thing. I understand the technical aspects of conflict of interest. The point is that Nigeria has responded to these questions. And I am still very strong that we on the opposition side should not be beating up on Nigeria and beating Bush for the PPP. I still think that the spotlight should be on the conflict of interest that is here and now, and that is a clear and present danger to Guyana. I'm unapologetic that I am not going to do the work for the PPP. Jack Dio came out yesterday, and we're jumping here, right? Because I'm coming back to your letter. And he said the conflict of interest he's most concerned about is that Nigel could do work for Exxon, and Exxon could overpay him for, meaning give him money for work not done, and that money could go to his campaign. Now, when Thief Man see Matty with bag, well, let me put another way. Thief Man like to see Matty with bag. Jack Dio knows the story well. I am sure he knows how the PPP get money from business people and business companies. So he's speculating that that is the case with Nigel. Under normal circumstances, I would say a fair comment. But I can't say no fair comment with Jack Dio. I am saying when I hear Jack Dio there, what I hear is a man know how the crookishness happens and is afraid that the other side may now do the crookishness. And he's putting over some moral compass that he's putting down. But you had already slammed him in your letter that he should be the last man to talk about conflict of interest. Over to you, Dr. Vincent Adams.
Hey, you hit on a point there that is really very important. A parallel to that is that even in the United States, even in our national security system, do you know who the people that they try to recruit when they want to know who's hacking and how to avoid the hacking are the hackers? Okay, so that's exactly he he understands, and he's worried that he's probably gonna get out hacked, if you will. But he knows the trick of the trade, so he's worried and he's speculating. But going back to the letter and stuff, and I cannot believe the audacity in this man. But it's not that we can't believe it. That's exactly how this man operates. His arrogance and his autocratic behavior, because he believes that he can get away with anything. He can spread his propaganda, and everybody believes anything that he says. That's how a dictator works. It doesn't matter whether it sounds reasonable or believable or not. He believed that people will believe it. He believed that we're running a cultist country, and so that's where he comes from. I would be the last person in his shoe. I would never even bring it up. I would try to keep it in the background, because when he brings this up, then you're shining a spotlight now, which is what I did in this letter, and others are doing, because he is coming into question now, and people are seeing exactly what he was doing. So yes, I think it's well deserved, and everything that I say there, it's everything. It's absolutely true. It's nothing there is something that I made up or I speculated or imagined. Everything that I said. Here's a man. Before he got into office as a leader of the opposition, he was ranting and raving in Parliament. He and the president that the opposition who was in office at the time sold out the patrimony of the country, and it was the worst contract. And as soon as they get in, they will renegotiate. And as soon as they get in, it's suddenly torn. I want to know, the question should be asked of everybody: what caused these people to suddenly make a right about torn and went against their own people? And I mentioned a list of them. The parent company guarantee, where they opposed their own people. They went against their own government laws that we put into place. They went against that and appealed with Exxon. So who's in bed with Exxon? They're allowing Exxon to pump oil above the safe operating limit, which means that they're enhancing the possibility of a spill, but they don't want to support what it takes to clean up a spill if it occurs. Look, there's a big, for example, and there's a big hoopla about this thing, about this new capping stock, right? You would swear because of the big celebrations and stuff, they're giving people the impression that it was their initiative to bring this capping stock. And of course, I've mentioned this before. The capping stock is a big, heavy piece of equipment, 50 to 100 tons, that you put on top of the well if there's a blowout. Because of the weight, it stops the well from flowing. And you remember, because of the Macondo spin, the BP Macondo spill in the Gulf, it was flowing for 89 days. They couldn't stop it. So that's how it was invented. Do you know what they did, Dr. Hines? We, myself and Dr. Bino, directed Exxon, the key thing, just based on that explanation, you don't have to be an expert to know that the key requirement is to get that capping stock to the site of the spill as soon as possible on the ship. We looked at all kinds of different alternatives. We directed Exxon. Exxon, first of all, came and told us, well, the minimum we could do is 20 days. And Dr. Bynum and myself told them they got to be out of their mind. We worked with them till they got down to 3 days. And the only place we can get it there from in 3 days to get to the site was out of South Trinidad. We looked at Guyana. It was impossible to even get close to the 3 days. But we told them they need to come up with a plan for bring it to Guyana eventually, in years or whatever, in terms of the logistics, the port facilities, etc. We put that into the permit, meaning the law, that it shall be 3 days. Do you know what they did as soon as I left and Dr. Bino left? They removed it. They tripled the time, Dr. Hines. They tripled the time to 9 days instead of 3. So now they're saying they're allowing for an extra 3 days of spill of the wells to be gushing into the ocean, which could account for hundreds of thousands of barrels of extra oil recklessly, and because that's what Exxon want. But here's the key, Dr. Hines. You don't have to be smart to understand what's going on here. If that facility for storage, because it takes a lot of maintenance, it costs a lot of money, so they got to pay somebody there. So when they bring it to Guyana, and now they're going to be putting it at the shore base here in Guyana to be stored, guess who's going to be getting that money to store it? It's going to be a whole lot of money, whoever owns that shore base. Guess who owns those shore bases? It's their people. So if they keep it in Trinidad, where is the 3 days? They prefer to bring it here, and they're saying it's 9 days, and they do not even have a plan right now. They said they brought it; it's temporarily stored, basically on the East Bank. But eventually, within I can't remember the time they said, they're going to be moving it to the shore base at Green Hoop. Guess who owns that shore base at Green Hoop? So they do not even have a plan. So this is all about moving it and moving. It's going to cost a lot of money for their folks to maintain and manage it until it's ready. So it's all about putting money in their friends and families' pockets at the detriment, Dr. Hines, of their own people, and in the interest of Exxon, and at the detriment of our own people and the people of the Caribbean. So he should not talk about people having a conflict of interest and having more interest in Exxon than they have in the government, because that's what he does every single day. Every single day, that's what he does. And the evidence is clear. So it's not anything that is made up story. It's there. The flaring, for example, Exxon makes money off of flaring. And guess who suffers? It's us in Guyana and the rest of the Caribbean, because when that 200 toxins that is in that flaring gas go up in the skies, it falls down back as acids. It gets into our waters. It gets into our farm. It rusts all of our houses, all of the equipment that we've got. So, but Exxon in the meantime is making money off of it, because they don't have to cut back on production to stop the flaring. It's just going up in the sky. And then
the key there is they're facilitated by the government of Guyana.
Absolutely.
That is the key there.
Absolutely.
Yes. they're facilitating this government that is trying to take the attention from off of them and to say that Nigel Hughes got some conflict of interest.
Yeah.
I have said on this program, I'm saying it again, Nigel Hughes, as the lawyer for ExxonMobil and as the leader of a major political party, has some questions to answer. And I'm saying Nigel has been answering those questions, maybe not to the satisfaction of some people, but he has been answering those questions. Mr. Jack Dio said yesterday that they got a man who is a minister in his government now. He used to do business with Exxon. And then he chose the man as a minister while he's doing business with Exxon. And after choosing the man, he then tell the man, you got to choose between Exxon and me. Now, this man was doing business with Exxon. You know it. You didn't say, look, this man doing business with Exxon, I am not even going to consider him for my cabinet. You named him to the cabinet. And then afterwards, you tell him, I make a choice between me cabinet and Exxon. And that's a standard that you have set. But you're not granting Nigel Hughes that standard.
Yes.
You're not granting Nigel Hughes the standard that until he's named a minister or a parliamentarian, that he can represent Exxon. You're not granting him that. You are prepared to grant that man that. You picked that man in your team, knowing that he was doing business with Exxon. You then call you and say, by considering you, based on what Jack Dio's story, this is what I hear Jack Dio say yesterday. He didn't say, I called the man and said, Banner, I'm considering you for a minister. But before I can even recommend you, I know you're doing business with Exxon. You got to stop doing business with Exxon. No, you name the man minister and then tell him, by you got thing. If that is the standard you're setting, why now you are trying to shift the goalposts for Nigel Hughes? You see? Yeah. So this is the scampishness that Jack Dio is into. And my point is that we have to deal with the business on our side in a dignified way. We cannot take PPP costs and cost people on our side with it. I'm adamant against that. I'm adamant against that. People can say, I don't like Nigel for the top leadership. I don't like he as a consensus candidate because here is he's not charismatic enough or he's nothing. I can live with all of that. But don't tell me he can't be the top man because Jack Dio said he got conflict of interest. I am totally against that. Jack Dio cannot choose for us how we deal with our own people.
Sure. Yeah.
Family cutlass, just cut just at the top. On one of my countrymen said, family does beat drum with feather. And I am for that. I am not sitting here and say that Nigel, as a lawyer for Exxon, does not have potential conflict of interest. I am very clear of the potential conflict of interest. But don't tell me that he has, because according to Jack Dio, when you're dealing with Exxon before you go in government, you don't have a conflict of interest. All Jack Dio is concerned about is the thiefiness that goes on, that people in e-government engage in. So he said, oh God, Nigel now must he go do the same thing. You see? Yep. And so we want to be very clear here, Doc, about what we are dealing with. We must not, I'm adamant, we must not use that cost to pull down a brother, and we must not use that cost to get Jack Dio off the hook, because the conflict of interest is so damning. The man that the people that the Americans have accused of running a corruption ring involves at least one known person of Jack Dio's government. I'm not making it up. The people call the lady name. Jack Dio, they said the lady is no longer in the ministry. She's no longer in the party central committee as a co-opted member. He's admitting that there's institutional corruption in the PPP. He said, well, yes, there is some corruption, 1 and 2. What about the others that are not? Yeah. If there is 1% corruption, it's 1% too much. This government is a corrupt government, and we must not allow them to get away with it. My brother.
Well, here's another classic example. And of course, we always look to the United States for standards in any part of our lives. Donald Trump. When Donald Trump ran for the presidency in 2016, remember he had all of these businesses, and the question came up throughout the entire campaign. You've got these businesses, there's a potential conflict of interest. And he said during the campaign, well, okay, I'm going to hand over these businesses to my sons. That was not an issue. And as soon as he got elected in November and he started working up the process, he did not hand over it until January before his swearing in. But the point is, he told them this is what he's going to do, and the people decided whether they should vote for him or not. So that is the same exact thing. Nigel has laid his case, he's told them, explain it, well, I think very well and reasonable. There's nothing illegal about it. Let the people decide whether, they want to, based on their conscience and everything else, and whether they trust him or not. Let them decide, not for Jagdeo to come in and tell people, that to make and like you said, he had a minister who is under the same type of situation, and he waited until the man was a minister. The man was a minister. He didn't get rid of him when he was a minister and he had the conflict. He waited, and then he told the man, well, okay, you got to decide one of the two. So it's the same standard ought to apply to Nigel, and Nigel said that. And Nigel has even come up with a plan. Nigel has said, I will not have anything to do with the oil and gas policies or anything to say with oil and gas policies. He has appointed a committee, and he has made it clear to us in the committee that he will not get involved. And so far, and I trust him, I believe him, he has not been, any part of it. And if there's going to have to be a vote on a policy from the organization, he will recuse himself. I mean, it will be in the open. So it's not anything that would be hiding, and we would be involved. We would be a part of any grand scheme where he would be sneaking around. No, that will not happen. He has a plan to mitigate any type of conflict.
He has a plan to mitigate any kind of conflict. It's an ongoing discussion. And as I said, my position is very clear. Brother Nigel has to deal with this. He should not be answerable to Jagdeo. He should not be answerable to the PPP government, because they are deep in the shit and they cannot be judged. If he's answerable, he's answerable to us.
That's right.
He's answerable to our supporters. And so
Yeah.
I'm saying Nigel has to continue to engage this question. He has to continue to engage it. No. I don't want to use Jagdeo's standard and wait until on the eve of you becoming a minister or a parliamentarian and then address it. I'm saying, Brother Nigel, address it now, but address it to we. Use one of we leaders. And any answer you got to give to anybody, you give it first to we. You don't got to answer to Jagdeo and them, because Jagdeo and them are crooks. They're political crooks. And they should not be setting some moral standard for Nigel Hughes to follow, or any one of us. Are you hear me? I feel very strongly about that. There is a point where morality, political morality, has to give way to realistic, real politics. You cannot have people who are hand over fist, openly giving away the patrimony of this country. They're not so much interested in filling Exxon pocket. They're using Exxon to fill their own goddamn pocket. That is what the issue is. And we know that is happening. We know it is happening. My brother, open the paper. Well, nowadays, before you get to the papers, the news is be out there.
Yep.
A police officer, and I am, as I'm saying this, I'm saying it with very much sadness, because black people can make themselves jackasses sometimes. You know, you all know how I love black people. But I think sometimes black people head and good. Just behave crazy, some of them. You open the paper, a man, a big policeman, and I don't know about now. Maybe it's different now, but Vincent, you know, when you and I were boys, the policeman, the preacher man, the priest, whatever we call it, the teacher.
Yep.
Those were the people we look up to. And
Yeah.
I still have that in me. I still have respect for policemen and women still, because I grew up with them. You look up to them, you see? And you, this policeman, black man, it is said that he deposits some big money. Then the commissioner of police come out and say no big money was deposited. And then the journalists and them by traffic chase and them do the work. Then by put the paper on the internet to show the money was deposited, the people give back the money. So we find that the office in charge lying, the commissioner lying. No, if there wasn't more in the matter than the pistol, why they are lying about this money? I mean, if a man give me a freck, all right, and I deposit my money and so forth, I ain't got nothing to worry. I ain't lying. My partner give me a freck, right, and I put it in credit union. You know, I ain't got to lie about putting it, and I ain't got to get the commissioner for lie. Once I start lying and the commissioner start lying, it means it's not a little freck I get. It means that it's something else. My brother, help me, no man. Help me.
Well, you see, again, we get back to these guys, and the hammer is falling one by one. These guys, they believe that they can do anything, and there's no accountability whatsoever. They own the country, they own everybody in the country, because there are even some other sides to this story that even makes it worse. Because one of the things that I heard at the credit union, you could only deposit a maximum of $2 million.
Yeah.
So this guy somehow deposited 16. But I heard in addition to the 60 million, one of the excuses that was given when they asked him where he got all this money, the man said it was a wedding gift. The man said that he got a wedding gift of $16 million. I mean, all of that is documented. No, I'm not kidding. That's what he said.
I'm not kidding, but I said, Lord, you know what people have said? People said, you know, asking people to laugh. Asking people to laugh, because this is serious business.
But I hear the other thing that I heard from reliable sources too, Doctor, is that was not the only deposit. There was another deposit for over $100 million.
Oh, me mama.
Yes.
Really hurt me.
So, but you see, the thing is that it's a cover up. It's not only a lying. It's a lie to cover up, because I am telling you, they all have to lie to cover each other, because everybody knows about each other. It's this ring, and they were afraid that if something comes in and they start digging in and they start squeezing one, he might squeal, and then who knows? So they gotta go well, guess what they're doing there? They're transferring, they're moving them around. They're not getting any hurt, but who knows what they know even above them? The people in the government, so who knows what they know about them? And so those are the kinds of things. And now Nigel, the same Nigel at the AFC press conference yesterday, and I think they made a public statement, press release, Nigel is calling for an independent investigation, mean outside of the country. No sham investigation with the police investigating themselves, because the unit that is supposed to investigate that, guess where the unit reports to? The
The,
commissioner of police.
the commissioner of police, who is part of
So,
the cover up.
so Nigel is saying that's a sham. They need to go to some of the, CARICOM countries or someplace to get that independent investigation of this issue. And I cannot see a single Guyanese who will not support and agree with that. And I think that's a good call. And we all need to be putting pressure on them to have an investigation outside from resources coming from outside this country. Truly independent.
Uncle Vincent, I see one of your nephew here saying good night, Uncle Vincent, Richie from
Yeah,
Arizona. My good friend, my good friend.
yeah.
Uncle Vincent,
Uh,
here is the thing that bothering me about
mm,
this. There's the corruption. And
yep,
so, as we were saying, kind of corruption. But here's one my mind going. Those political overlords who are enabling this corruption among the top brass of the police force. All right? And it is clear because the commissioner can't move wrong people without
yep,
the minister
yep,
going in. So if you allowing me for launder
yep,
how much $1 million when you are ready to shoot down some black people, to shoot David Hines, to shoot Nigel Hughes, to shoot Takumo Ogunse, and you tell me, go and get it done in the name of the police force. Eh?
yep,
That is the danger
yep,
with these brothers. And I call them brothers, but they are different kind of brother. These brothers who are in high places in the armed forces, we are now getting a glimpse as to why they are willing to shoot their mother
yep,
and shoot their
yep,
daughter and their sons when called upon to do it. Because they're feathering their own bastardness. And the
yep,
PPP is allowing them. What kind of fool is you that Brother Dick Gregory is going to ask? That you allowing these overlords to get you to go and shoot your own people so that you can fed your nest for a couple of $1 million.
yep,
That, for me, is a very, very serious thing that I want you all black people to understand. And I want Indian people to understand it too. That when I will cry that the police shoot down our young people, shoot down our activists, kill them, you all get a sense of what is happening. That the PPP has compromised them, and the human beings, whether you're black, white, blue, or thing, you want to feather your nest, right?
yep,
And so they've compromised themselves. The PPP is intentionally compromised them. And when the PPP is ready to lick down black people, they have ready people at the top who are
yep.
so compromised, they will carry out that slavish action. Dr. Vincent Adams, what is going on in our country, Guyana?
Well, I totally agree with everything you said. I can't add anything more eloquently, but what I know, one of the things that we have got to be talking about as we move forward into elections and governance after the elections, after that party is gone, is that we have to revamp that entire police force. You're absolutely correct. I remember growing up as a little boy, you looked up to the police and the teachers and nurses, and I mean they were a special class of people, and all of us aspired to even become part. I mean, those, you talk about people being clean as a whistle. Those were the ones. It's the complete opposite now, and they're doing it because they've got some power and authority, and the fear factor that they're driving everybody, that because of the corrupt practices, and they drive fear in people. If you do not cooperate, this is what's going to happen. And of course, they've got a government that they report to that you said is totally corrupt in everything that they do, and the entire system is corrupt. So the people, people like the population itself is living in deep fear, and with nobody to protect them, basically. So there's no justice, and you've got to just survive while this is happening. And so as we look forward, as we look ahead, that I'm hoping that the leadership, the potential leaders of the folks who are aspiring to become our president and vice president and prime minister, they're already coming up with a plan as to how we will revamp our protective forces.
Dr. Adams, you're so correct. I mean, when our side takes power, they gotta be serious. One of my criticisms of the last time around is that we went along as though nothing was wrong with our country. After 23 years of PPP raping this country, criminalizing the country, criminalizing the state, we came to power and behave as though nothing happened in the last 23 years, meaning there was not an intentional drive on the part of those who came into power in 2015 to say this system is broken and it has to be fixed. Now, you couldn't fix it in 5 years. You couldn't fix. But I'm saying there was not enough intention to fix. This time we can't make that mistake. We cannot have this kind of police force, as you quite rightly says. The citizens feel, on the one hand, helpless because the police is supposed to serve and protect. So on the one hand, you feel you're not being served and you're not protected. On the other hand, you feel that you can do anything, and you go to the policeman or woman and you give them a small piece, and then, so we're back to the law of the jungle.
Yeah.
You see? And we cannot continue with a police force like that. The PPP is happy to have a police force like that because it has its political intentions. That is, that police force is going to beat down, beat up its opponents. And instructions, either by a wink or otherwise, is that there are some people who are off limit to your brutality. Some people are off limit to your brutality. And some people, you got to beat them. Not because we want you to go and beat up black people, but we want you to go and beat up our political opponents who are black. Who are black.
Look at what they did, Dr. Hines. Imagine you growing up, you're just an ordinary poor person. You're struggling to make a living. And then you see what they do to Kadaki, who's up there basically in comparison, somebody that you would think that they would never touch. But that's their modus operandi. Their strategy is to go after those so that the ordinary person would look and say, oh shucks, if they can go after Kadaki, what are they going to do to me?
Yes.
So that's what they're doing. That's why they threaten people like yourself and all the people who are vocal and speaking up for what is right for human beings. But that is what they're doing. So they're driving, this whole thing is about driving fear into people. Every single day we see it. That's their whole strategy. And we've got to bring an end to it. We have to bring an end to it.
An end must be put to it. Let me make it clear for this audience. When I'm in Guyana, I move around normal. Police don't bother me. Them police by on the road, some of them recognize me, they wave me off, and so on. If I stop, they say, good night, Dr. Hines, they recognize me. The average rank and file don't bother me. in Guyana. So I am not indicting the rank and file policeman and woman here, right? They're my brothers, they're my sister, and me fight, you fight, we fight is for them too. You understand?
Yep.
When we talk about wages for public service, for them too. They
Yep.
gotta go home to their girlfriends and their wives who are black like me and you. All right? And police women have to go home to their husbands and their children and so on and so forth. So my thing is not the ordinary rank and file police men and women. It is to the men at the top who are selling their soul for a little mite, as old people would say. Because that 16.5 million and 100 million may look enough to them, but they are allowing them to pass 16.5 million so that they can turn a blind eye when other people laundering 16.5 billion.
Yep.
You see? And I'm saying to you all, and I know some of you all black policemen are listening here tonight. We fight is not against you all, but you all got to pull yourself together. You all got to find a way not to allow your leaders to compromise you all. Not to allow your leaders to compromise you all. You understand? Those of you who are listening, those of you who get boyfriends and husbands who are police and fathers, talk to them. Talk to them. Talk to them. Because this nonsense has gotten out of hand. Out of hand. Teacher George said, Teacher George Young, a boxing, he's a black man, sometimes the licorice. The licorice. And that has been an issue that some of us have had with some people who aspire and have become leaders. We've got to break it. My brother, I'm so glad that we are discussing this tonight and we are putting it in context. God not sleep. God not sleep. What corruption? Bring the evidence. That's what Jacques Diolak said. Bring the evidence. Bring the evidence staring in the face right now. And he don't even know, or well, he know that it's evidence, but he pretended that he don't know and want to get we to talk about Nigel Hughes, who ain't interfere with nobody money.
Yep. And
you see?
And that's you know, that time, you notice, and the good thing is, it ain't coming from us either. It ain't coming from the local politicians. It coming from the mighty United States of America. Okay? And that same Jagdio, I want people to keep asking him the question, why is he only flying over and around the United States? But he ain't landing. If you notice, he ain't landing in the United States. He's flying, he's circling, flying to Canada, but he ain't landing. Well, we can see why with what's happened before, and we saw what happened, when was it, yesterday or today, with Minister Barrett. We see what happened with him.
And Barrett is saying that the people didn't interfere with him. But I see a picture. I see a picture on Facebook and social media showing the policeman or immigration man walking behind him
with gun.
So you said these people have pulled you in, and I think it's Dennis Booker sent me the picture.
Yeah,
and with the walking man,
it's a video. It's a
video
and a picture. But you can see the 3 plainclothes officers and then an officer with guns behind.
Man, telling me it's not true, man. I'm not. I know the technology thing good like Mark Benchop and Cheryl and them by forget the thing from my phone. You see, when people send me them things, God send me it by email. I cannot man. I can't maneuver the phone to this story and so on. And think that's why I want one young people to come in and help me with this story so that I could have shown the thing with the people that walking side by side with them behind me.
Yeah.
And the lion.
Yeah.
Sisters and brothers, they are on the ropes. They are on the ropes. Yes, then he said, she sent me. Yes, then he sent me the thing. Then he sent me the thing. They're on the ropes. And the evidence come off, come to us like when lard and butter, you put them on that frying pan, you come off. So the evidence will come out on them. Vincent, before we go, we have to talk about the development with the teachers.
Yes.
I was so heartened when I saw open the papers today and saw the comeback by the teacher. We said, by there's a good comeback, right? Because they bully the teachers into cutting out from 2019 to 2023.
Right.
So the teachers had to go in from 2024. But when the teachers put the 2024 and 2025 story on the table, it was a brilliant comeback. You know, when you get knocked for 6, you know that good. Or you get knocked for 4, the next ball is important. You come back with the next ball. You either take the because you beat the batsman, all ends up. You say, "Why? That's a good comeback." Talk to us about the teachers' good comeback.
Yep. But I'm telling you, I think the teachers are really being nice. To ask for 30%. I think that you know it's and
I think that it started as a 39%.
yes, it varies from, I think it's a year, it's a 30%.
Yes, right.
So because, and here is why. I think it's between 8 or 9,000 of those 14,000 or 13,000 teachers. You know how much money they make? 9,000. They make $100,000 per day. Not per day. I wish that's what they should be making per day. They make 100,000 Guyana dollars per month. 9,000 of those 13,000 teachers. Anytime you look, if these guys had any kind of competency or understanding as to how you develop a country or how you build an organization, they would know it always comes down to competition for your best personnel, your best staff, your best labor. We are now competing with the rest of the Caribbean and the rest of the world for a teacher. We're investing money, training them, and then they're gone. We're the lowest paid. We've got the lowest paid teachers in the whole of the Caribbean by far. And we're supposed to be by far the richest. You've got places like Grenada, where teachers are paid twice. Trinidad almost twice. Another country like 2.5 times, 3 times. We are the lowest paid teachers. How could teachers survive? They're gonna leave, they're gonna go to a training college, we're gonna invest a lot of money on them, and then they're gone. And then here is what the stupidity of and the incompetence of Bharat Jagdeo, when he says, well, it's okay, we're gonna train them, and if they gotta go, they gotta go. That's the irresponsible and reckless kind of statements that you get, an incompetent statement coming out to these folks. But anyway, so I believe that they should have been getting a minimum of at least 50% is the minimum for a start. But I guess they're in a bad situation, a tight spot, and if they feel that 30% is gonna go a little ways for them, at least for a start, until the new government comes into office, until the opposition comes into office. Okay, I fully support, and we need to put pressure and support them. But the biggest disappointment, though, Dr. Hines, why? And it goes broader beyond the teacher strike. My biggest disappointment is that these teachers did not get the kind of support from the rest of the country and the rest of the unions.
Yeah.
If the other unions, the public service unions, if they had come out and supported, this strike would have been over. They would have gotten what they want. You can't tell me you're taking 60% of this nation's budget and putting it in the hands of maybe 1%, which is your friends and family in the construction business, and you've got teachers who are making $100,000 Guyana dollars, by the way, per month, when these guys are making millions and hundreds of millions. So that's the disparity in how people are being, one class is being treated one way, the other class is being treated another way. But I think we need to watch this and put pressure on the other, especially the public service union. It's time that they need to come out and support these teachers and take it to wherever it may go. Let us make the sacrifice here, or else they're going to be setting a pattern here that is going to be hard. It's going to be hard to turn back.
Dr. Vincent Adams here tonight. As we go out, my condolences to a couple of families in my village. The family, the Best, Winifred Best, who was a real champion, a real activist. She never misses a political event. She is always there at our emancipation events. A live wire in the village, Winifred Best, our children and the rest of our family condolences. My grow match, Colin Garnett, Kidor. This is Congo Colin. They got another Colin Garnett, my friend. Yeah, Colin Garnett, Colin Bork, but it's not he. This is Kidor, okay. Congo, from Congo, Pastor Anidel. My grow match died suddenly this past week. Condolences to his family and to the Annandale community. A fine young man. He's gone too soon. And finally, condolences to the Domits. I think Miss Patsy Domit died this past week. Also to our children, Bonita and all the others, our condolences. Doc, thank you again for coming through with us. And I think we were able to check some boxes here tonight and to bring our people closer to that sweet spot that we must always have if we're going to win this battle. Thank you again, my brother. And we shall be meeting on Sunday, come what may.
You sure?
I'm sure about that. I'm sure about that because we got lots of things to talk.
Oh God!
Yeah.
That was.
So I'll see you on Sunday.
Definitely.
And thank you all for staying with us another day. Next week we're gonna have a pack week. So stretch out a little bit for the weekend. Those of you who are into cricket, join us on Sunday night. And then we come back on Monday. We're introducing some new guests next week to broaden our conversation. Thank you all so much. I just want to say a nice weekend, a wonderful weekend. But relax to the weekend. Cool your head a little bit. And we come back next week to do battle again.